And I've worked with kids as young as age 3, getting their brain scanned. And they just, because their ego hasn't developed and they're running so much on their subconscious mind until age 7, they soak up all this knowledge and they have all these things. And if I think of the things I would have wanted to know back then, and it's, your brain is really the organ that controls your life.
Right.
Consider that when you're making decisions. I can't tell you how many times my parents told me and I didn't listen. Like, if you want to mess up your life, just please wait and do that until you're out of the house. Yeah. Please, like, just do what you need to do to take care of yourself now. And if I knew what I knew then, it would be kind to yourself, which is awesome. That's behind you.
Yeah.
And understand that there's so many biological things you can do to support your brain, so you have less of the kind of anxiety, depression, some of those awkward growing phases that you go through as part of being a little human. And omega-3s, vitamin D, multivitamin, and leafy greens are really going to give your brain that nourishment so that you can be your best self. And I also think as a kid, it's important to realize what your passions are and like having that outlet for creativity and playfulness and never losing that. I think, at least from my experience and a lot of people I've worked with and friends, you get to an adult and it's like playtime's over, like fun time's over, like have to be an adult and like do all this stuff. And it's like, you can do both. Like the whole point of enjoying this life is to be creative and play and do things you're passionate about,
right.
Find a way to make a living, but doing the things that you love, and just don't lose that, figure out what really speaks to you in your heart when you're young and just continue to implement that throughout your life.
Yes, I love it. Hello, friends of Brain Power TV with Dr. Echo. Welcome to another episode. And I have the pleasure today of introducing Fallon Jordan. She's a super brain coach. She's an amazing lady. I have gotten to know her over the last year, and I'm so excited to share her with you today. So, Jordan, welcome to, Fallon.
Everybody does it, and I love it, because then I can make my joke about how my name is reversible. Dyslexia, I can help you with that.
There you go. Thank you. So tell us how you got started with this amazing program and job that you're doing, being a super brain coach.
It's a fun story. So I really just kind of stumbled upon the front desk job on Craigslist almost 9 years ago at Amen Clinics in Atlanta. And so I literally was the first person that you saw when you came to get your brain scanned, whether you drove 10 minutes or flew halfway across the world. So I really got to know our patients and just fall in love with them.
Right.
And to continue growing and doing more to support them. And so then I moved into an intake role and then grew that into an aftercare and coaching model that we now use across all of the clinics, which is like super near and dear to my heart. And then got certified as a coach through, of course, Dr. Daniel Amen's course, but then also Emory University. And then I got certified as an Erlin syndrome screener. So that's kind of like a joke to the dyslexia. So if you guys want to go down that rabbit hole, feel free. And then I just felt called to do more after about 7.5 years. I was getting kind of burnt out. And Dr. Amen and I were trying to figure out the best way to use me and my talents so I wouldn't get burnt out. And so he's like, why don't you coach our coaches? Like, why don't you coach the professionals that are implementing this into their practice? And I'm like, oh my God, that would be so fun. Right. And so I did that for only honestly like 9 or 12 months. I'm still doing that, but I'm also building Amen University Max, which is a community for everyone and anyone to learn about brain health. We have tons of online courses, and we're actually doing it as a membership fee per month, which is really cool. And then I get to continue doing fun stuff like this on social media with some of our amazing partners like yourself. So I've kind of grown into this whole different way of thinking and sharing the message. And I'm just so grateful to be here because this is like literally my favorite thing to do.
Yes, I know. So for those of you who don't know, I attended Dr. Amen's program for clinicians for brain health. And that's how I got certified as a brain health coach. I was with Dr. Amen, and I love his work. And so, yeah, so excited to be talking to you today. So let's dive in. Tell us, So what are your top tips for kids for optimizing their brain health?
So I love, one of the million reasons why I love you is that you work with kids. And I've worked with kids as young as age 3, getting their brain scanned. And they just, because their ego hasn't developed and they're running so much on their subconscious mind until age 7, they soak up all this knowledge and they have all these things. And if I think of the things I would have wanted to know back then, and it's, your brain is really the organ that controls your life.
Right.
Consider that when you're making decisions. I can't tell you how many times my parents told me and I didn't listen. Like, if you want to mess up your life, just please wait and do that until you're out of the house. Yeah. Please, like, just do what you need to do to take care of yourself now. And if I knew what I knew then, it would be kind to yourself, which is awesome. That's behind you.
Yeah.
And understand that there's so many biological things you can do to support your brain, so you have less of the kind of anxiety, depression, some of those awkward growing phases that you go through as part of being a woman. And omega-3s, vitamin D, multivitamin, and leafy greens are really going to give your brain that nourishment so that you can be your best self. And I also think, as a kid, it's important to realize what your passions are, and like having that outlet for creativity and playfulness, and never losing that. I think, at least from my experience and a lot of people I've worked with and friends, you get to an adult and it's like playtime's over, like fun time's over, like have to be an adult and do all this stuff. And it's like, you can do both. Like, the whole point of enjoying this life is to be creative and play and do things you're passionate about,
Right.
to make a living, but doing the things that you love. And just don't lose that, figure out what really speaks to you in your heart when you're young, and just continue to implement that throughout your life.
Yes, I love it. You're absolutely right. It's true, because I love the part about adults not playing. And I was thinking to myself, have you been playing lately?
Yeah. So that's actually something I've been shifting. Instead of saying to my friends, do you guys want to hang out? Do you guys want to do something? I'll say, do you guys want to play?
Oh, nice.
And it's a very different way of thinking about it, even though it's just us going to dinner, having a glass of wine, like maybe playing a fun game and like actually running around with our dogs, like really playing. It's still just we make of it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And art therapy is a big thing. Like, we'll have coloring book nights and stuff. Like, it's just, you have to ignite that brain, but also your soul.
That's right, the soul, because unless we are aware of all that makes us up, I mean, we're really not living a full life. Because if we're not aware of what's really going on inside of us, and we just have this facade and we just want to appear, what's the word? Just appear, I mean, the way you think that you should, right? Put on this facade for the rest of the world, but you don't really address really what's going on inside of you. Then,
ooh, that would be a good rule too.
Yes.
Try not to use the word should, like, ever. That was my 2019 New Year's resolution. And since I started doing that and like slowly being more compliant about it, it makes such a big difference, because there's power in words, and there's power. I mean, guilt and shame, like, if someone that's listening is, done stuff with Byron Katie and like knows about guilt and shame, I mean, it's something that's very hard on your brain. It's very hard on your body. It's very hard on your soul. And you can do little things like avoiding one little word based on guilt throughout your life. It's going to make a huge difference.
Yes. I like that. So I'm going to try that too. Let's throw away the word should. I should do this. Because you're right. I can literally feel my blood pressure rising when I start telling myself, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to finish my notes at work. I'm supposed to see all the patients. I should do this. I should do that. And it's like, you just put this whole load on yourself, and then your brain shuts down. And then we wonder, why can't we just get things done?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the things I've been seeing a lot, like on my Instagram feed, is just, it doesn't matter if you got nothing done today. Like, if you took care of yourself and your mental health today, you did something.
Yes.
Don't worry about your to-do list. I feel like we put too much on our to-do list anyway, because we get like excited and want to cross it off. But I mean, literally my to-do list yesterday had 3 things on it. And like, I woke up today and was like, I got all 3 things done and did an extra thing.
Right.
Better than writing down 6 things and only doing 4. You know what I mean? Like, use the dopamine gratification to your advantage.
Right. Right. You're
for
absolutely right.
feeling bad, you know?
Right. Right. Have you read this book called The One Thing? It's like it
No.
tells you, yeah, ditch the to-do list and just do one thing. And you finish the
Oh,
one thing and then you do the
I
next
love
thing.
that.
And then
That's
you
so
do the
funny because
next
that's been
thing.
like a theme for me last few weeks. I was like really working hard on self-care to the point where I felt like I was like, this is not sustainable. Like I'm doing
Right.
way too many things. And so I just was like, the one thing I'm always going to do is I'm going to walk on my treadmill fast. And that's it. That's the only thing that I have to get done before I start my work day.
Right.
And then I incorporated like other things that I would be doing anyway. Like I incorporated my meditation and prayer and I did some tapping, like 30 minutes, and it completely changes my day.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Yes. And let's talk about the morning and the brain. You know, how important it is to start off your morning right. I mean, this can be
Yes.
kids and adults, because and yeah, tell us how much it affects the brain and how much it can change your life if you start your morning right.
Absolutely. If you can wake up and say, today is going to be a great day and believe it in your heart,
Right.
it's going to shift your entire day. Again, the last few weeks, I'm just like, it's so grateful in this timing, because I started saying today is going to be a great day. And then again, trying to like calm down on my like self-care stuff. And I say, today is going to be a great day. Anything is possible. And there's no reason a miracle can't happen. And it's just made me feel really grounded. And there was a couple nights that I had really terrifying nightmares. A lot of people in my tribe also were having them. So I don't know if there was something going on, but I was able to wake up that morning and still say that. And I was like, wow, like I'm getting good at this. It's just a practice. Like you just have to practice. And then also with mornings, I always encourage, especially when I was working with kids with ADD, what is the first thing you actually see in the morning?
Right.
So like I've been putting my phone upside down. I love my new phone case. It's so pretty. And sitting on my new book that I'm like obsessed with. And then I have like my sensory brush, my essential oils, and then my actual end table is something I bought at Goodwill that I love. And I painted my favorite colors. So everything that I'm seeing is setting my day up for excitement and nourishment. So that's where kind of like my like decluttering feng shui love of things comes in, because you really need to think about the first few things that you see in the first 5 minutes of you waking up, because the way that the eye is connected to the cerebellum is extremely strong.
Right.
Everything that's happening is sensory, but 70% of the sensory is visual. Right. Because of the eye cerebellum connection, and 50% of our brain cells are in our cerebellum. Not good at math, but you do math. It's like if you can set yourself up for visual happiness, first 5 minutes of your day, it's going to make a huge difference in your life.
Absolutely. I agree. On the days I do it, it does work. And I'm learning to do it more and more. I actually have this plaque on my dresser. And that's the first thing, if I open my eyes, I see it says, start your day with being grateful. And then so the next thing out of my mouth is thank you. Because I found that when I start off being grateful, even when my day starts to go haywire, the thoughts comes back to my mind and I remember that, and I am able to just pause and say, okay, let's think this through. Let's not just follow the emotions and just fall apart too. So
totally. Yeah. And because of a lot of the kids that I worked with ADD, they do need tyrosine and GABA to help calm their hot little brains down. Those are taken on an empty stomach. So I would always encourage them to have a bottle of water and their supplement on their nightstand. It's the first thing that they see. And I will say, you know, what's your biggest goal? And kids are so cute, right? They'll be like, I just want to be smarter, or like, I just want to be a better brother. And so I tell them to write that on the label. Like, this is going to help me be a better brother. This is going to help me feel smarter. Oh, nice, and it's creating this beautiful dopamine, serotonin, even oxytocin. Like you know, we've talked about like studies only mean so much about certain things. And I wonder, like, if you really have self-love, like if you're building your own oxytocin, and if you can kind of change the way that you see and view things and name things, it can make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all. Our brains are just waiting for us to take charge of them and feed goodness into it. And guess what? It will produce goodness. So
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Wow. I like that you tell the kids to label their bottles. That's a very cool idea.
Yeah.
Because when, I mean, in my practice, when I've told kids, hey, if you drink one more bottle of water, your brain loves water. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it will help your brains feel better. And they're like, really? Yeah. And they accept and they buy into it when you go at it from, hey, you can help your brain feel better. I find that kids just like light up and they want to do versus here, this is the medication you have to take because you're not behaving right and we need to make you behave right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's wonderful. Love that. So you talked about decluttering. So tell us more about that.
So I've always been one of those people that likes to be really organized. And I think just through weird roommate situations, I kind of had to like adjust to a minimalistic lifestyle, which was like really sad and hard. And so when I got my house a few years ago, I was like, I'm not buying anything unless it's something I absolutely love, because everything that I'm going to have, I'm going to keep forever. Or if I grew out of it, that's fine. But at least feeling like if I don't have it, I'm going to die kind of thing. And so as opposed to minimalism, the method of decluttering that I incorporate into my practice is really about loving everything that you own, and it's serving either a literal or a spiritual positive thing in your life.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like Marie Kondo, mixed with the brain stuff, mixed with feng shui, because there's also the concept of energy of stuff.
Right.
I use the example, like if the first thing that you see when you wake up is a nightstand that was a hand-me-down from your grandmother, and your grandmother was abused by her husband, your stuff is touching that. And so I kind of have people do a really deep, thoughtful mindfulness, which is actually walking through their house very slowly and closing and opening their eyes every few minutes and writing down their first thoughts and feelings. Because we don't want to psychoanalyze ourselves, right? We don't want to psychoanalyze everything. It's just about how it makes you feel. When I leave my house, I feel happy because I have my little guardian angel. I have my vision board, and I have a couple of knickknacks that were given to me by some of my best friends. So when I leave my house, I'm like, oh, I love my stuff. I can't wait to come back. And then when I come in, the first thing I see is actually this, and it just makes me so happy. I told you the story about that before. So it's really just, again, like using what's in your field of vision to your advantage, because with ED, out of sight, out of mind is everything.
Right.
And oftentimes we stuff in the back of the drawer or in the back of the closet, the stuff that we don't want to deal with yet. Mm-hmm. So when I tell people, and they're like, you're going to make me get rid of my stuff. I'm like, you don't have to get rid of anything, but the stuff that you either aren't sure about or are like, maybe I'll get rid of it. Right. They have to be in your field of vision all the time.
Right.
You love, you're going to find where it is. Mm-hmm. That's changing that attitude about stuff. Because then you're going to start realizing, you know what? I'm getting really stressed when I go to my closet now, because I'm seeing this dress that I thought that I would wear one day. And now I just really can't stand to look at it, because you're seeing it every day.
Right. Exactly. So how do you work with your clients? Because you mentioned some exciting news, right? That you're launching your program.
Yeah. So it was just this very weird, beautiful moment that happened a few weeks ago. And I was like, it's just not going to be possible for me to go into clients' homes, which is totally fine, because I love working from home and I can help people with this from anywhere. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put together a step-by-step guide of how to do this, because there's so many great books on this, but it's a book. What am I going to like pick up and like, oh, this isn't even a real book. It's like my little thingy. But it's like, you're supposed to just like hold the page. Mm-hmm. Something that could actually take you like 5 days. So I'm like, I'm just going to do like a PowerPoint, have it as a PDF so that people can look through it, know what they're getting into, and then stay on that screen when they actually need to do that work. Right. So yeah, I am releasing that today, because I'm actually giving another presentation solely on that to a bunch of therapists. So I'm just so excited, because it's something to use, and it just makes me happy, because there's and I rent my house. I don't have plans to buy anytime soon, but if I do, like, you better believe I'm going to be like real estate nightmare. Like, unless I built, like, I want the perfect house for me to nest and have all of my beautiful things and just be so happy there. And there's no reason. We work so hard for what? You're a mom, like you work so hard to go through med school. You work so hard to be good to your family. You work so hard to get the house, to get the car, like all those things. But if you're not living and appreciating them, like
I know, what's the point?
And even people are like, oh, will you interior decorate for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. But I want to see 300 pictures of what you want. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I can't get into your head and your soul and figure out what's beautiful and calming to you. Like this could be super triggering to somebody. They might hate it. But to me, my most favorite, cherished thing in my house. So just use the information that we have. And hopefully, I mean, I'm going to post it on Facebook, obviously at me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. But yeah, just let me know you need the PDF and I'll gladly send it to you.
Yay, that's wonderful. No, I really like that. Like what you said about people being triggered by what's in their closets. You know how you say, oh, the skeletons in the closet, like this is literal. Like it's not just,
it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. I love that you said that. It gave me goosebumps. There's a lot of things that we say that we just don't think about.
Right.
That's simple. Being a big one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love opening my closets. They're so organized. I know where everything is. Like,
okay, now I need to go and work on mine.
I know.
No, that's okay. Oh goodness, that's wonderful. No, I'm so glad you found a way to take your love for being a minimalist and adding some brain health to it. I mean, that's super, because isn't that what life is about? Taking the passions we have and the purpose and finding our purpose, I mean, in our passion, right? So then it's not work. We're just serving people and it doesn't feel like work, right? Because
absolutely
what you love to do. Yeah, that's so cool. So what would you tell? So how do you talk to your parents when they come to you and they say, hey, I need help with my my kid, right? For example, but then what do you say to them first? Because I find in my experience, I need to do a lot of work with the parents, because if we don't work with the parents, then the kids will not do well. So
100%.
Yeah.
So many things are handed down. There's so many reasons why people have children, to like just, try and live the life that they didn't have, or definitely always encourage them and the kids to do a brain health assessment. It's free on brainhealthassessment.com. I love everybody filling out the one-page miracle.
Yes.
Everybody's goals are, because if mom's goal is I want him to have straight A's, and dad's goal is I want him to get A's and B's, and the kid's like, I just want to be able to play basketball, we can figure out a way to make everybody happy. You know what I mean?
Right. From
a genuine, loving place.
Right.
But there's always going to be supplements. There's always going to be work like gratitude and those things. But there's Amen University has a lot of helpful courses. If people need more education, I'm happy to always educate and talk to people, but I feel like that's what burns them out the most. And so that's one of the reasons I did the decluttering course. I'm like, this is exactly what I do. If you want me to help you, feel free. But like, here it is. And then also Love and Logic is an amazing curriculum for parents and teachers. And you can start using it from the time they're a baby. And it's just based on love and logic. I know it is what it is. But they're just an amazing program. My best friend, who's in her 30s, was actually raised on it. And was one of the most amazing people. Dr. Amen's wife used it with her daughter. They're just all these beautiful people, because it's about having a responsible, kind, generous child first, and then how that morphs into getting good grades, having a good self-esteem, knowing what's the best thing to do and what's not the best thing to do. And back to what we were originally saying about just little kids and their subconscious and all that stuff, like, don't lose your intuition. Like, kids are so intuitive. And if I shouldn't get in that car with this person, and you do it anyway, and something bad happens, that's like, just, you know what PTSD is like.
Right.
And so we can do everything we can to give our kids the best chance to use their intuition and use their voice. There's no greater gift than that.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Wow.
There's an event. Definitely follow Love and Logic on social media, and university, because there are going to be some upcoming free live events with Dr. Amen and Dr. Charles Fay, who, Amen, the brain stuff, and then Dr. Charles Fay for Love and Logic. There's going to be a lot more fun stuff coming out that kind of tie everything together much better than I'm doing right now, but like at least
no. Yeah, we'll definitely have all the links on the episode for everyone. Yeah, definitely. I mean, just what you said about first having a caring and responsible child, because that alone, I mean, that's what your brain needs. And then it morphs. I mean, it takes care of you because you've taken care of it, because you've shown the brain love. I mean, love will heal your brain and help your brain function better. So
exactly.
That's such a wonderful program. I'm definitely gonna check it out myself.
Yes. Awesome.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Wow. So any final thoughts on for parents and or kids that you have about falling in love with their brains?
Definitely just, the brain health assessment is huge. The 1-page miracle is huge, but then also just always giving each other grace. And then I would definitely encourage like always having at least one meal together without any electronics nearby. And just, figuring out a way to make more quality time together, doing things that are fun. Like we used to do family dinner every night and then one dinner out a week. And there's my parents and then my sister and I. And so we each got to pick our restaurant for our week.
Oh, nice.
Something kind of fun to look forward to.
Right. And that's not super hard. It's just one a week. But
and
giving the children the chance to use their voice, right?
Yes.
Choosing the restaurant. Yeah. So that's wonderful. Definitely. I can attest to that. Especially the part about putting the electronics away. Because the kids feel like they're seen and they're heard versus you're on your phone and they're trying to talk to you and it just doesn't go well. So
totally.
We need to all get married to our phones.
I know. And same with the kids, right? They're like dealing with all this drama on social media, and it's like, they just want to feel heard. And so instead of being like, I'm going to ground you for if you don't put your phone away, being like, I would love to hear what you're going through. Do you want to kind of tell me what's happening?
Right.
And it's just a different way of looking at it.
Yes, absolutely.
Social media is not going to go away. Phones aren't going to go away.
No, but it's just finding a way to balance it and being aware of ourselves when we use it. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yay, so wonderful. Thank you so much, Fallon, for your time.
You're welcome. Today. Thank you.
Yes, and I hope everyone got as much as I did out of this. And definitely check out all the links. The Amen University is amazing. I can attest to that. So yes, for sure. So have a wonderful rest of your day and see you on the next episode. Take care.
Yay, you too.